Chiefs. Brought to you by Sheehan's Rustproofing. The Chiefs have just come out on the ice for a warm-up period. They're about to try for their 5th consecutive win. They're getting a good round of applause from their own booster club, who have traveled all the way from Charlestown to be here in Peterborough tonight.
If you're looking to buy or sell a home, make your next move a power play with Mike Burgoyne of Real Brokerage Realty. First responders, veterans, doctors, nurses, teachers, and yes, Let's Go Blues Radio listeners get special rates. Visit strikewithmike.com or email him at mike@strikewithmike.com and score big today.
Have you subscribed to the LGB Minute podcast yet? It's a 5-minute weekly St. Louis Blues podcast hosted by Jeff Ponder that is released multiple times a week to fill the gap between Let's Go Blues Radio episodes. Subscribe today.
So awesome, so handsome, so smart, you'll agree. Kurt, Jeff, and Bill are on TV. It's radio on TV. Oh yeah, it's radio on TV.
From St. Louis, I'm Jeff Ponder, and I'm joined by Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. It's Bill Day. Kurt Price is still facing allegations. We're bringing you the often imitated, never duplicated D's Nuts, the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast. Let's Go Blues Radio. This is the 17th episode of season 15 and the 545th episode of all time. It's Wednesday, January 21st, and we're coming to you live. Tonight, the Blues, we discussed the Blues' loss to the Jets, Sundqvist's rare injury, the Blues shuffling coaches in the organization, a big name, apparently, possibly on the trade block. All that and more on this D's Nuts episode of Let's Go Blues Radio. Bill, D's Nuts was on the brains. That's what I went with.
Maybe we can get Dietz and Watson as a sponsor, because I don't know if you've seen their product that they sell. Little tiny tidbits of cut up pepperoni sticks called Dietz Nuts.
I did not know that.
Yes,
They should go into business with sweaty balls.
They should. Except this is a real product. It is available at your local Schnucks.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's a. I actually keep a bag of Dietz Nuts in my work bag for those afternoons I need a little extra, nuts. Wait, no.
Whenever Bill needs nuts.
No. That came out wrong.
Or did it come out just right? Yeah. Bill,
the eye of the beholder.
You have changed your name again for a good reason. For those of you on the podcast, it's Gardien avec deux how do you speak victory? Victoire. Goalie with 2 victories. So Bill won another game. He is on, and I know that it's not really correct, but in Beer League, we're going to say it's correct. He is on a winning streak, folks.
Yes,
it's two games in a row.
Personal winning streak. And yeah, I'll tell you, the game the other night felt really good. I felt, I went into the game focused and concentrating on, just tracking the puck, read and react. That's the mantra, and it worked. And I was also on a bit of a mission because we'd given up 18 goals to that team, and that wasn't going to happen. We were going to drop another 9 spot to those guys. So, yep. And everybody played great. Everybody played awesome that night.
I agree. We did. You played really well. Did you even give up a weak one? I don't think you did.
The closest to a weak one is the deflection and after the turnover in the third period to 4-3. I didn't catch the guy coming out of my periphery, or else I get in the butterfly and stop that. But it was great deflection right between the 5-hole.
I don't even put that on. I don't put that on you. And I don't really even put it on our defenseman. It was just a very quick play. It was one of those where turnover, guy shuffles it back in front, and a guy just got a stick on it, boom, I think it went through your legs.
Yep.
You weren't ready to react to it.
Yeah.
I say quick play, for beer league, it was a very quick play. In the NHL, it probably would have been routine save for Jordan Binnington or Joel Hofer. But like for me, I looked at that play and I said, man, I don't blame anyone for that. I mean, yes, our defenseman should have tied up the stick. Yes, Bill should have been ready for it. But again, like it's beer league.
Yeah,
it's going to happen.
The worst part about it for me, I literally in the morning on Monday, I was in the eye doctor's office doing a peripheral vision test. Like every year I have to do tests because one of the medicines I'm on, make sure that it's not killing my eyes. And the one thing is total peripheral vision. And I felt like it didn't go so great this year. So maybe I got something to work on or worry about.
Well, hopefully not worry about, but no, I don't even. Yeah, that was fine. The one that made me mad was the power play goal they scored in the third. I think they made it 4-3. Just because it was a weird play.
4-2 goal. Yeah,
4-2
off
goal.
The face off. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So that one just made me mad because.
Yeah,
because what happened was, and I'll say, typically you already said his name, so go ahead and say it. Our friend Brunkhorst is his last name. Brunk is not known to admit fault often, let's say, but he took the face off. It was literally the draw after a penalty that we took, and the puck. So he won it, but he slowly won it back. Like, I mean, it was inching toward me, and it's one of those like. Okay, is the center going to swing back and take it? Is the winger going to swoop in and get it? Or is the defenseman going to step up and get it? Which I was the defenseman. And so it was kind of those, all three of us just were kind of like, ugh, and like Brunk was still standing there trying to block the center from getting to it. The winger started moving up to the point. And then I just kind of was like, I'm going to slowly move up, but I think Brunk's going to turn around and get it. Well, neither of us got it. And then they ended up working it around and shooting it from the point and ended up beating you. And I was like, oh,
yeah.
He actually, right after that, he looked at me and he goes, oh, man, that was all me. I'm sorry. I should have stepped back and gotten the puck. And I go, oh, I was going to take fault, but hey, I'll let you take it. That's fine.
If you want it, it's yours. Yeah. No, it was a rebound play, the power play, right? For them, and a guy got lost in the corner. I made the initial save and I was too far out into the crease or above the crease to be able to throw my leg back. And and I was wearing down there right in the third period because I hadn't played in 2 weeks and coming off the flu last week. It wasn't very good.
It was well, and for me too, I think I told you guys that Sunday I woke up and thought, oh man, I'm getting the flu. Like I felt it come in. I couldn't eat. Stomach was upset all day. But then by Monday morning, I woke up and I was fine. So I don't know. I think I felt a little slow and a little fog-brained a little bit still Monday night. But unfortunately, it's that time of year. Son got sent home from school today. He's actually fine, no problem. But they just thought he was probably getting sick. So it's just it's that time of year where nobody really feels right.
Yeah, it's ripping through my office, and it's not missing anybody this time around. So
yep, 100%. So Joe Schmo in the chat says, "Come on, Bill, beat the Blues to that 3-game streak." Yeah, there you go. I mean, that was the first place team we beat, so we now know we can beat anybody. So maybe you'll get that 3-game streak before the Blues do.
Yeah, well, the Blues have I think 5 games between now and our next game because we don't play again until next Thursday. So
yeah, that's right. Ace in the chat says maybe Bill could have a sit down with Benner. Yeah, at this point I can't remember what the last game was. Bennington won, and not putting Montreal completely on him. Was it Montreal?
Yeah, it was Montreal.
Right. He played a good game too,
and I sat right behind him and coached him through that whole thing.
Of course you did.
Yeah, I coached.
So we got a lot of chat here and talk about the Blues, which I don't know why you guys are jumping in wanting to talk about the Blues right away. You guys act like this is a Blues podcast or something. We did get a question here from our friend Ken Morris. What happened to Kurt? Was he put on waivers and claimed by another podcast? He is now a Blackhawks fan. We traded him for future considerations. But no, actually, Kurt has just been at a insanely busy life, and as all of us do. But this is just one of those things where it's just okay. This has to drop off for a little while. So Kurt's taking a little bit of a break from the show, but we still definitely have him involved in the show. It's just a matter of like I said, there's only so much time in the day, and so for Kurt, it was like something has to give, and for right now, that is unfortunately Let's Go Blues Radio. But
yep, it's much more fun to say he's facing allegations.
Yes,
not ever address what those actually are. But
yep, it's also because his lawyers have told him it's best that he stays away from the public opinion. So he has decided to step away from Let's Go Blues Radio because of those allegations. Am I joking? That's the question. Bill, let's get into beers of the episode. So official beers of episode number 545. You can follow each of us on the Untapped app. Bill is at Billy Blue Note 33. You can follow me at JPonder94. Bill, let's start off with you. What you got tonight?
I am going with, as I think about this, I think this was the very first craft beer I ever consumed. Way back when Randall's was a tiny little store in Edwardsville before they moved down to Fairview and then created the vast empire that they now have in St. Louis. But this is the Old Rasputin Imperial Stout in a 16-ounce pint pour. First time I've ever had it in the can. Always used to getting it in the bottles, but Russian Imperial Stout, one of the original craft beers, and still gotta be top 5 for me. And as far as craft beer stouts go, so absolutely loving it. Drinking a little too quick.
I was gonna say Old Rasputin is very good. That is probably one of the first craft beers I ever had too. I remember oh my gosh, what was it? ITAP, right? ITAP out in Chesterfield. They used to have it on circulation on draft, and I used to go in there, and that's how I'd always start my night. I would drink an Old Rasputin, get myself a nice little buzz going early, and then I'd stick to the lighter stuff. But yeah, that's a very good beer. So that is funny. Yeah, now that I think about it, that probably is one of the first craft beers I ever drank too. So that's a weird mind meld we have there.
Yeah. Man, I'll tell you, you were definitely in grade school when I first had it. Me and a group of guys that I worked with, we would get together and do everybody would go out and find some craft beer and do a stout party, and share beers around. And that's where I got it for the first time. So
okay, so that's not really fair because I was in grade school until I was 23.
Yeah,
so
true.
It's not really saying a lot. What year do you think that was?
Let's say 98.
Oh,
97, 98.
I would have been 7th grade, I guess. Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, there you go. Bill, the old guy.
Told you. Oh, yeah. I'm Old Rasputin.
Trees over in the chat says Kurt does keep sending in statements defending Binnington, but due to the allegations, they cannot be aired. Yeah, he's been the Binnington apologist, and unfortunately, you'll never hear his cries. So there you go. And we got a question, and I only want to get to it because this might be a new live listener. He says, "Who do you pick if you're Armstrong, Vernov, McKenna, or Stenberg?" Well, I mean, it depends on where the Blues pick. Obviously, if you're number 1, that's going to change from where you are to number 2. But right now, I think they say that they would be a number 2 right now. So I think if you can get him, get me a Stenberg all day. I'd love to have the brother connection.
Oh yeah, 100%. Especially because it's Steen's draft this year, right? Right. Yep. The reins will be turned over. He's definitely going the Swede. And having 2 stellar brothers on the team. I mean, not Sedin level, but probably the next best thing you can get.
Yep. Do you think Steen is going to make Bill Armstrong change his name to Bill Svarmstrong? We're going all Swedes. Come on, Bill.
Yeah. We'll see. Probably
Ace,
not. Probably not.
Ace in the chat says one guy is not fixing this team. It will help, but not fixing. I agree with that. Ken Morris, good question for you, Bill. Has Bill ever played hockey in Montreal when visiting his relatives?
No, I've never strapped on the gear, never brought the gear when we went up to. It wasn't Montreal. It was Julie's family's from the London, Ontario area. But no, I would not dream to be an American, go up there and think I could hang with even their C League, because they all could have made it. And they just got the right break.
Yeah. Yep. That's it. 100%. So okay, that's a good question though. Let me say my beer first, then I'll ask the question. So tonight I'm drinking, actually, thanks to my co-host, I'm drinking a Fat Elvis tonight. So he was able to get his hands on some at the aforementioned Randall's, and
Which
picked it up and brought it over.
picked this up at the same time. So
Nice. There you go.
It's a productive trip.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. So
and
go ahead.
we shouldn't forget to mention the closeout Prager whiskey that we got. The Journey, $8, folks. Go to Randall's,
man,
pick it up.
Yes.
If you need rubbing alcohol, it works in a pinch.
I love you, Chris Pronger. If you ever hear this, I apologize, but that is not good whiskey. I like whiskey, and I hate to say this, and I'm going to be a total discriminatory jerk, and sorry, Ken Morris. Canadian whiskey, to me, I've never had a good one. Never had a good. There's some good American whiskey. I've never had some good Canadian whiskey. So
I have.
Unfortunate.
I have, when visiting the fam in Julie's fam in London, we did get a bottle of like high-end Canadian Club, like Special Reserve, and got drunk in was it Port Stanley?
Oh, nice.
Standing in Lake Erie, smoking Cuban cigars and downing that. It was, and then had to drive home the next day. It was not good, but it was it was awesome. But yeah, so my thing with the Journey whiskey is, I used to post it occasionally online whenever the Blues would win, victory whiskey, started by our good friend Crosscheck Rays. From the Game Time, rest in peace.
Yes.
So I used to post my victory whiskey. This is my loss whiskey, or crushing defeat whiskey, if you will. So when the Blues don't win, I force myself a pour of this.
Why would you do that to yourself?
Just because I'm feeling the pain. I'm feeling the pain of what.
But that's the time to break out the good stuff.
No, this is the crazy season.
Oh, I can't take. That's one thing I can't do. I can drink skunky beer all day. I can't drink bad whiskey. It makes me. I don't vomit. It makes me want to vomit. I just can't do it. And yeah, not a big fan of the whiskey. The best I've been able to do with Pronger's whiskey, with the Journey, was it called Journey 44? The best I've been able to do with it is like put about a fourth in a glass and then fill the rest with Dr. Pepper. And I'm like, okay, I can drink this. That's about it.
Yeah, it really is a glorified mixer. I mean, I guess the kind of cool thing about it, I think it says 44% alcohol by volume, or 44% proof. So, that's kind of cool, except I prefer mine at 50 or above. So
yes, agree. All right. So the question I was going to ask real quick. So he asked if you ever, if you played hockey in Montreal. My question for you, and I'll answer it too. What is the most exotic location, or just kind of weirdest location, that you have played hockey?
Not too many of them. So while playing organized hockey, the farthest away from St. Louis I played, probably Evansville, Indiana, and we've great trash in the locker room story from when we got hosed in that tournament. But the most exotic place, probably when I was going to Little Providence, I played in the intramural league and brought my equipment and played 6 or 7 games in the intramural league, and we played on Schneider's ice where the PC Friars play. It's pretty damn
nice.
cool.
Very cool. Okay. Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, I mean, obviously locally I've played every rink, including Enterprise. So that's always, really cool. Have you played Enterprise?
I had not played Enterprise, but I played the old barn.
Okay.
So
yeah, that counts.
Yeah. I the last time team I was on played at the old barn was when CBC won the cup in '93.
Nice.
And drunk Brendan Shanahan gave us the trophy.
Nice. Very cool.
But I did not dress in that game, and that would be my last in CBC colors. So,
oh wow, okay,
yeah. So,
but
not a big fan of the coach at the time. But.
Yeah, well, there you go. No, for me, I mean, I would say, well, I played in Chicago. I played in Chicago a ton growing up, so that's a big one. But I wouldn't even call that crazy or exotic. I did play at the Devils practice facility. Forgot the name of that, but it was actually attached to the Prudential Center. So I did get to play there once when I was in Jersey. Played in another rink in Jersey that apparently was built in 1925 or something. So that was pretty cool. Like the super old building, like obviously had been renovated, but it was very old and you could kind of tell, and it had that old rink smell that everyone knows. But I'll say that I think my most exotic is going to be coming up in under a month. I'll be playing in Georgetown, Colorado, in a pond hockey tournament up there with a couple of our teammates. So we'll be leaving in February. I think it's February 12th we're leaving, and we're playing that weekend, and we'll be there till Sunday. So any of our fans in Colorado, already talked to Baked Beaver, let me know, and love to meet up with you. Going to be a fun time. Be there for like 3 or 4 days. So looking for a pond hockey tournament. Looking forward to playing some pond hockey in cold and frigid Georgetown, Colorado. That'll be a good time.
Yeah, I may have to look at getting in on that next year. This year's a no-go, but it sounds like a lot of fun. I kicked myself for passing on an opportunity to play at the one in Wisconsin about 12 years ago. But that was during my hiatus. So.
Yes. Yeah. It'd be hard to step back on the rink when you haven't played in so long. And it's like, oh, you're going to go play pond hockey 5 games in 3 days or whatever. And it's going to be -10 outside.
Right. The biggest thing for me, I would have to get, forward, replace most of my forward gear. So,
yep.
Because there are no goalies in this tournament.
No, it's a box tournament.
Bastards.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not a big fan, to be quite honest, of box tournaments, but I thought, man, this one, traveling to Colorado and playing pond hockey with people from all over the country, that sounds awesome. So couldn't pass it up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into it, folks. Again, we got a nice chat going here talking about the Blues' first round pick. You know what? Let's call an audible here. Let's go ahead and talk about that, and we'll get into the other news here after the break. So Rodney Hale,
not a first-time listener. He's been here before.
Has he? Okay. All right. So Rodney's he's been asking us of the 3, who do you pick if you get the chance of the top 3, Stenberg, Vernov, or McKenna? Obviously, I think I mean, if it comes down to it, it's best available. If it's going to be McKenna, it's McKenna. But, if it's like, hey, you've got the 2nd pick, McKenna was just taken. For me, all day, I'm going Stenberg. Just, again, to have that brother connection. And then let's see. We've got plenty of other chatter. But some people saying, too, trying to find it here. Ace, if the Blues get the first pick, could Thomas and Kyrou be paired for a trade for the 2nd pick? Not saying they should, just asking. And if that happened, does both those picks start first season? Okay. Sorry, I had to decipher that a little bit.
Yeah.
So, he's basically asking if the Blues were to get the first and second overall pick, do you see both those players coming in and playing for the Blues next season? First of all, has that ever happened? 1 and 2 go to the same team. And, the closest I can think of is the Sedins.
Right. And that was 2 and 3, right?
2 and 3, and they both went to and Vancouver. If there's a story written out there about that, the gymnastics,
and it involves Mike Milbury.
It does.
Milbury, the dumbest GM in history of the NHL.
The gymnastics that I think it was Brian Burke at the time had to go through to make that happen. I mean, insane. But he did. He made it happen, and I just don't. I mean, it would be quite the story if Alexander Steen were to pull something like that off as a first-year GM, getting the first and second overall pick. But I just don't see that happening. But yeah, I think if that were to happen, let's just say miracle happens, Blues get the first and second pick, trade off Thomas and Kyrou. It's a short rebuild, and I think you're already talking about a McKenna and a Stenberg stepping in next season and playing for the Blues. Again, I think this is a fantasy scenario, but I could definitely see that happening.
Right. It's a fantasy scenario, and there's a lot of this kind of talk right now, right, with focusing on the future, with just how inconsistent and poor this team has been. We'll talk a little bit about the JR article about Thomas being on the trade block. If that were to happen, I don't know that this is the year you want to do it, when you don't have a clear-cut number one. This kind of feels like a couple years ago, when going into it was, for a while, Carlson was number one, Fantilli was right there, and God, I'm blanking. Was it Slavkovsky wound up going number one overall in that draft? But there was not a consensus number one. I think that's kind of the year that you would want to pull that kind of move off. Obviously you have better odds of not completely shitting the bed. Like, it feels like we did with the Eric Johnson number one overall pick. Eric Johnson had a great NHL career. Congrats on your cup and your retirement, buddy. But, God, they had to bring it up last night playing the Jets, right? We didn't get, Jonathan Taves. We could have, and, what would have been. I don't see that happening, but if it did, yeah, I think you're going to be so thin up front, unless you're bringing in, you're doing like the Blackhawks and hiring, bringing in retreads to, fill NHL slots while these guys develop. You almost have to bring them both in right away.
Yep. And here's a good point for Winning Unlimited. Just dropped in the chat. Most famous 1-2 teammates for Thornton Marlowe. But yeah, keep in mind, they were drafted by two different teams. That wasn't,
right.
And I know Winning Unlimited knows that, but Thornton was a Bruin and then got traded to San Jose. So it wasn't a San Jose picked Marlowe and Thornton situation. There's always a first for everything, but I just don't see that ever truly happening. Now, I will say, so we got D Brown SS. I think he says, I think Kyrou will be removed for a pick around 10 at the draft. Now, something else to keep in mind, and I always say this all the time, and we're always sticks in the muds with this, he has a no trade clause. So not only, so for the Blues, it's not, they could easily say, yeah, Kyrou or Jordan, we're going to trade you to Buffalo, for the 6th overall pick. And Kyrou can say, the hell you are, you're not. And the thing that could happen too, and it's happened before, leaks get out that a player wants to only go to one team or two teams. That's what happened with Kevin Shattenkirk. Blues wanted to trade him. They actually had a deal in place. I think it was to get Taylor Hall, right? From Edmonton. But Shattenkirk had 1 year left on his deal, and he flat out said, I will not sign a contract in Edmonton. And so the deal fell through. And the only team he would sign with was the Rangers. And so the Blues ended up having to trade him to the Rangers. I'm sorry, they traded him to Washington. But Washington knew they weren't going to be able to re-sign him. So the Blues' return was a draft pick in Zach Sanford, right? Could be wrong on that. But either way, it wasn't as good as I think they thought they could get originally. And So I think if that were to leak out, Jordan Kyrou, well, the only team I go to is Montreal. Well, then all of a sudden Montreal says, well, Blues, if you want us to get him, best we'll do is a second-round pick and a roster player. No one's going to be, if they know they've got the Blues by the balls, they're not going to just say, yeah, okay, we'll give you our 4th overall pick for that guy. Not going to happen.
Right. We'll give you Oliver Kapanen or Arbor Jack guy. Not a good look. So if we want to talk about, I figured we'd talk about this during the Thomas discussion, but yeah, there's a lot of talk in the chat right now about Kyrou and his ship seemingly sailed at this point. For me, it's the worst case scenario. They didn't move him ahead of the NMC kicking in last year, and he is vastly underperforming this year. So the best you can do is, a hockey trade for another change of scenery guy. I think that is our best case scenario with Kyrou. We're not getting a high draft pick for the guy with as inconsistent he's been since the All-Star game in Florida, when that seemed to be the peak of his career, and everything's been downhill since. He's overpaid, not producing enough. And yeah, I think maybe you could trade him for Bester, and that's about it.
Someone that I think is intriguing that's on the trade block, and especially if the Blues do have to draft pretty low, a young guy that's available out there is apparently Mr. Shane Wright. So I don't know what Jordan Kyrou or Robert Thomas, what they think of Seattle, if that's a destination they'd be interested in, but that's a player that I'm looking at right now that I'm saying, if you're going to move a Kyrou or a Thomas, that might be a decent guy to get back. And I'm not saying 1-for-1. I think there might have to be other pieces to make it work for both sides. But Shane Wright is a guy that I look at and I say, that would be interesting, because I think he's a guy that fills the Thomas role in the sense of a good defensive player that can also put up, solid top 6 minutes. But I think that's what the Blues are missing right now, is that Robert Thomas is everything. He is your defensive specialist. He's your offensive specialist. He plays in every situation. And yes, you want your top center to be able to do that. But really, and especially with Pius Suter out of the lineup, Thomas plays every minute of every situation. And I think it'd be nice to get him a little bit more supporting cast. So if you get a Shane Wright, even though if you're losing a Thomas, he fulfills to me that important second, third line center, and allows the Blues to either promote someone from within as your top line center, or maybe go out and get somebody else.
Yeah. I'll tell you, after Shane Wright's plummet in the draft, he was talked about shoe-in number 1, and that's the draft that Montreal took Slafkovsky number 1, right? And Wright just fell until Seattle picked him, and he made that foul, the icy stare of death, and it was like, oh, just wait till he plays Montreal, he's gonna totally destroy him. And to me, his career is just not. Montreal made the right call. As a Montreal fan, they made the right call not going with him. And I don't see him as, if we're trading Robert Thomas and that's our big get in the deal, we lost. I am not a fan of that whatsoever.
Well, I'm just saying, that's what I'm saying. I don't think that's the core. I think that would be maybe a piece involved. But yeah, that's something I would at least be interested in entertaining, not saying it's the end all be all. But yeah, I'm just trying to think of who's available right now that would be a nice change of scenery idea. And that's the only one that's really coming to mind, because there's not a lot out there right now.
Yeah. I mean, to me, the eternal change of scenery guy is Besser, right? Yeah. He is, kind of had the same career thing with Kyrou. Brilliant early on. and went through some very, very unfortunate personal life stuff. And the media in Vancouver was pretty harsh, not about the personal life stuff, but just about his career progression. And the whole JT Miller saga, tearing that dressing room apart. It's been a bad thing, but he's the guy that's stuck there. And to me, it's like, I was shocked when he didn't go to Minnesota at the deadline last year or the year before, when that was the hot rumor.
Mhm.
I think he would be the guy, and maybe that's the Kyrou swap. Long term, I think Kyrou's the better player, but he's just not doing it here, right?
But again,
And
does Kyrou want to go to Vancouver? The
yeah,
answer is probably not.
yeah. I don't know. A lot of guys don't want to go to Canada because of the tax situation. I did see comment in there about the PM of Canada's speech at Davos. I didn't see it. Or else I would definitely comment on that. But yeah, the question was about the effect on the NHL. So it's
Comment here from Divide by Zero. Guys, I heard the speech today by the Canadian Prime Minister at Davos. With tensions seemingly rising between countries now, is there a chance that affects the NHL's ability to function? Again, I've read some of it. I didn't see it. But I mean, obviously, we all know there's tension between the two countries, mostly because of, well, I will say 90% because of a certain U.S. president that I'm not a fan of. And obviously, yes, anything's possible. It could affect the NHL's ability to function. I think at the worst case scenario, we would see a Canadian division and a Canadian conference and a U.S. conference, and until things get squared away. But I mean, that's obviously, kind of worst case scenario. I don't think it's going to affect too much, with the exception of, I think the Canadian dollar is something that's to look into with the U.S. dollar and the exchange rate. And then, like you said, the tax situation, tariffs play a part. There's a lot that could go into control, but as Bill has alluded to, very hard to speculate on that right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say that the Canada versus US stuff is, it seems to have taken the backseat to all this Greenland talk, and now Trump has tacoed on Greenland. So, not surprising to me that when the financial markets finally reacted to some of this insanity, there was a quick turnaround on the whole tariffs against all the European allies. So I think there will still be tough talk against Canada. So maybe that stuff doesn't entirely die down. But I'll tell you, if we get to that point that something breaks to where the NHL would call it, I think we have a lot more important things to worry about than hockey.
Yes, hockey will probably be taking a back seat in my life at that point. There's few things that would make hockey take a back seat. I think that's one thing. Trees. Wow, Jeff throwing the ghost of Gerald Ford under the bus. Yeah, that's exactly. Oh my goodness, everyone. Jeff with the Rutherford B. Hayes slander. And somebody else said that I was talking smack on Barack Obama. You're all wrong. It's Calvin Coolidge. He is the reason we have labor problems with Canada. Thank you, Calvin Coolidge, you freaking loser. Bill, let's take a break. We'll get into some more Blues talk here, and I'm sure we'll talk more about Rutherford B. Hayes, Woodrow Wilson. We'll get in all the presidents. After this break, you are listening to Let's Go Blues Radio. I can't find the commercial. Here it is.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
What are you doing? Have you not subscribed to the Let's Go Blues Minute yet? Do it wherever you get podcasts. It provides a daily look into the St. Louis Blues, filling the gap between Let's Go Blues radio shows. Go to Spotify, go to Apple Podcasts, go to Friendster. I don't care. Just subscribe and get fresh Blues content daily. Do it. Like now.
Every hockey team needs that clutch player who knows when to pass, when to shoot, and when to take charge. In real estate, that superstar is Mike Burgoyne of Real Brokerage Realty. Whether you're buying your first home or selling your current one, Mike skates circles around the competition with his knowledge, hustle, and down-to-earth approach. And here's the real zone ability. If you're a first responder, veteran, doctor, nurse, teacher, or even just a loyal Let's Go Blues radio listener, you'll score special rates when you work with Mike. Got questions? Fire them at him. He'll answer quicker than Bill Day's glove hand. Obstacles in your way? He'll plow through them harder than I would in a goalmouth scramble. And when it comes time to close, he'll put it in the back of the net faster than a Kurt Price shot from the slot. So don't just settle for an ordinary realtor. Get the MVP on your side. Visit strikewithmike.com or email him at mike@strikewithmike.com today. Mike Burgoyne, the real estate teammate you can always count on.
Is your business wanting to advertise but not wanting to break the bank? Are you wanting to target 20 to 60-somethings for your product or service? We can help. The Let's Go Blues radio team is currently accepting new advertisers for our live shows and at our website, letsgoblues.com. Pricing starts at just $10 per month. Go to letsgoblues.com/advertising to learn more.
And now, back to Let's Go Blues Radio, the longest running St. Louis Blues podcast with Price, Ponder, and Day.
All right, Bill, I think we got to do this one. Comment of the show says, who's y'all starting lineup made up of all U.S. presidents? All right, so real quick. Coach, I got to go FDR. Let's see. Star center, George Washington. He will lead the troops in battle. I think you got to go with Andrew Jackson is going to be playing some defense for me because
100%.
he's just
Stonewall.
a tough. Yeah,
Or
tough,
is he the
Stonewall.
goalie?
Yep.
He's the goalie.
I was going to say Taft as the goalie because he takes up a lot of space. On my left wing, I gotta go.
Fat. What a played out meme.
I don't like this, but I have to put on left wing Donald Trump because he's an agitator. So he's going to be a good agitator on your wing, and not going to say he's going to fight anyone, but he will agitate
on left wing. Really?
Yeah.
On left wing.
Why? Okay, right wing, is that better?
That's much better.
Okay, fine. I'll put him on right wing. Harry Truman, another great solid leader. I think he'd be a good guy that could move the puck up from the defense. So he's probably your right defenseman. And I don't know who's I got a left wing left. Grover Cleveland. He always seemed like a tough guy too that could probably pound some pucks in the net. So there's my starting lineup of U.S. presidents. Bill, would you care to take a crack at yours?
I'm definitely going Stonewall Jackson in net because you need a Stonewall back there. Yep. I think for my left wing agitator, I'm going to go with Billy Jeff. He talks some shit and probably sleep with the opponent's wife. I think Abe Lincoln is going to be my 1D. Was he a lefty? I think he might have been a lefty. I don't know.
I don't know.
I think I want JFK as my sniper right winger.
There you go. It's a good one.
But unfortunately his career gets ended early.
I was going to say there's one guy I don't think I'd put in there, and that's William Henry Harrison. He is injury prone.
Yeah.
Presidential humor.
Yes. Yeah. That's is that the Mount Rushmore of presidents for hockey? Like that just, I don't know. That seems way too meta to me.
Yeah, it does. We got everyone else is weighing in. So here we go. Lincoln and Eisenhower at center, Jackson on defense, Teddy Johnson at forward. Let's see.
Eisenhower as defense, though, right?
Eisenhower would be good defense. Wasn't he tall? He was pretty tall too, right?
Yeah, but or was he responsible for the offensive the offense in the Pacific Theater? Maybe he would be a great right winger.
Yeah. He was 5'10", so I was incorrect on that. And then Trees agrees with me. Taft is his answer in goal, but someone like Truman as well. Yeah, Truman's he's kind of a hard-nosed guy, a Missouri guy, so maybe he cracks the lineup. Comment of the show: George Washington is an enforcer, but y'all aren't ready to have that conversation. I will say I have said some mean things about George Washington in my day about him. Well, there's many reasons, but one of the ones being basically Christmas is just kind of an unknown armistice day. And that was when he sailed across the
Potomac.
Yeah. And attacked the British soldiers when they were basically taking arrests. So I think, yes, it's a winning tactic, but it's not exactly an honest tactic. Jimmy Carter has character. John Kennedy for left wing. President Jefferson Davis makes it in there. Joe Schmo says Trump is evil. Asa Tikkanen. Sean Nolan, Eisenhower has a good coach stare. Jackson Lincoln for my defense. Lincoln was a tall guy, so there you go. Didn't he have what's that called? The big guy syndrome. I forget. That's called something. Not dwarfism, the opposite of that. I'm making things up here now, probably. All right, LBJ on defense. That man was born to check people and get under your skin. Give me Adams, Washington. Adams for forwards. Oh, yeah, that'd be a good one. JFK did play pond hockey, according to Ken Morris. I did not know that. My goodness, this is
turning into a history lesson.
Yeah, this has been the most active our chat has ever been.
Yeah, I was going to make the same comment Divide by Zero just made. Thomas Jefferson for GM. He's got the blueprint. He's got the blueprint.
He does. Yeah, he'll be the one drafting all the trades for the team for sure because he knows what he's doing. Okay, we need to move on from the presidential talk, folks. As fun as that was. Springfield Thunderbirds have fired Steve Konowalchuk as their head coach. He is being replaced by now former Blues assistant coach Steve Ott. He will serve as the AHL head coach through the remainder of the season. Ott is 42. He's had 9 seasons behind the Blues bench, joined in the summer of 2017. And at the time of the fire and restructuring, as I'm calling it, Springfield's overall record under Konowalchuk was 47, 54, and 8. This season, they were an abysmal 13, 18, 4, and 2, dead last in the Atlantic Division. Montgomery did say he will be taking over Ott's power play duties, which at the time, again, before the Jets game, they were at 16.3% for 25th in the NHL. Trees, giganticism. Yes, that's it. That's what Lincoln had. So yes, he was a tall guy. We are not getting back into presidential talk. I just wanted to prove that I'm not a crazy person.
I have to make one more comment, and it's in response to Trees.
Okay.
He says that Nix is the team employee who tried to illegally record team practices. He actually was a draft pick of the New England Patriots.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to give you an assist, but we're going to go with Trees for comment of the show.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Nice.
Yep. Very nice. All right. So anyway, interesting move here. I think this is so it's funny because people are asking, is this a promotion or a demotion for Ott? I'd love to hear your thoughts, but I think it's a promotion. I think this is a situation where they're telling Ott, I think they've kind of said, like, we're here to help you kind of move ahead in your career. I mean, how many times have we all heard that in our careers? Oh, we want to see you progress. And I would imagine that's probably been the conversation with Doug Armstrong and everyone involved with the Blues for Steve Ott. So I think this is kind of their way of saying, we're going to let you audition for being a head coach. And if you can turn this team around, obviously you will be getting offers probably at the NHL level as early as next season. So I do think this is a promotion for Ott. I think this is a nice opportunity for him. But I also think it's kind of a low-key smart move for the Blues because he needed to be taken off the power play duties. And I think this was an opportunity that Doug Armstrong saw and said, let's make this move. Let's get somebody else in on the power play. Because again, I do think, and I don't think it's just lip service. I do think the Blues want to see this guy succeed in a coaching role. And so I do think they thought, here's an opportunity to basically kill two birds with one stone. We're letting on take control of a team, and we're also getting him off the power play, and we're not having to do it publicly to where it's like, oh yeah, we had to take Otter off the power play units. So that's my thoughts. But Bill, if you disagree, please go ahead.
I won't say I disagree, but my initial gut reaction when I heard the news was it feels like addition by subtraction, which the Blues have been pretty good at. We talked about that last week, right? Brandon Saad and Texier, both moving on and doing well elsewhere. But, making the immediate environment in St. Louis better because it opens up opportunities. I don't think that's the case here. I don't think we're talking about opening up an opportunity on the coaching staff, but I think we're subtracting a voice from the room that may have been there. There may have been one too many. I will say I did find it a little odd that they immediately had Dave Alexander on the bench last night. I thought, they might try it out with other guys, but this may be the time that Dave Alexander moves out of just the goalie role, right? Jordan Deacon, when she was on with us, she talked about what a great hockey mind he is and how he is constantly working on every facet of the game. So maybe that's a good move. I don't know. I'll tell you, I think that, it got to the point where something had to change in the room, and, it's not just going to be players. Right. And I think who made the comment, that, Ott can go down and prepare the young guys for Monty's system. So divide by 0. Was that? Yeah. So I think that's an interesting idea. But I also think, it gives Ott the opportunity to gain the, executive leadership that he hasn't been able to capture with the team. Right. He's always the guy with the whiteboard at the important times, but it hasn't worked out so well.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I do think that also does, like, moving Ott down. Obviously, Ott has worked with Montgomery now. Well, he's worked for them 2 different times now as an assistant coach with the Blues, but now working under him as his head coach. And I do think that this allows him to go down there and work with the younger guys, the guys that the Kaskamakis, the guys that we've seen kind of step up into different roles and kind of coach the same way that Montgomery does. And then again, somebody else here said it too. Comment of the show. Springfield needs a solid, no-nonsense coach to lead. I think that Bannister guy is a free agent. Yeah, unfortunate for him. But yes, I do think there's a no-nonsense thing there too. I'll admit I don't know much about the pedigree of Steve Konowalchuk as a head coach, but we all know how Steve Ott is as a person. He's obviously a very nice guy, but a very fiery guy. We've seen him really get into it with officials, even as a coach. We've seen him get into it with other players as a coach. He's not afraid to say some things to players that need to be said. So I do think this is a nice role for him, and I think it's a good opportunity for Springfield to get a look at a Steve Ott as a head coach. But for me, I just like that. And you mentioned David Alexander. I noticed that last night too. I'm thinking, what coach is going to be coming down onto the bench? And I was slightly surprised at Alexander, but I think it's the right call too, from what I've heard from players. And again, you mentioned Jordan coming on the show about a month ago and talking about it. he's a very smart guy. And I'll say the Blues aren't missing much in the beard department. They might
No.
have upgraded. David Alexander's got a hell of a beard.
Yeah, he's like soggy bottom boy level beard.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
He could go on tour with Jason Isbell tomorrow.
Yep. Agree. So that'll be interesting. We'll see how that one plays out. But we want to make a quick change into talking about Team USA, as there was some news that came out today. Bill, I have a question for you. Is Bill Guerin brain dead? And that's where we'll leave it. Let's talk about the Blues again. No, I'm kidding.
That was a rhetorical question.
Yes. For those of you that may not have seen it, Seth Jones, he is out right now. Unfortunately, he was struck in the near the left collarbone by a shot from the Rangers' Alexis Lafreniere off. Basically, it was in the NHL Winter Classic on January 2nd. So he is out with an upper body injury. Team USA has picked a defenseman to play in his place. It's got to be Lane Hudson, right? No, it's Jackson Lacombe of the Anaheim Ducks. Now, I will say, before we get into that, Jackson Lacombe is a very deserving pick. They didn't take a Tyler Tucker type player, and just what are you doing? Jackson Lacombe is a fine pick. He has deserved it. He's a heck of a defenseman. He's played excellent hockey for Joel Quenneville out there in Anaheim. But this was your opportunity to rectify not picking Lane Hudson. And he still didn't do it. And at this point, I just want to know what he's got against Lane Hudson.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. When I heard this, I just come on, man. Like, yeah, is it because he looks like he's 12 years old? Because go back and watch all of his game tape, right? He is, for as many times as he gets beat because of his size and lack of strength, his positioning generally makes up for it. It doesn't happen all that often. And the amount of opportunity that he creates is, you are not going to get that. Like you said, Jackson Lacombe, when we saw the Blues go into Anaheim 2 years ago, we're like, who the fuck is this guy? And he's eating up 25 minutes as a rookie. Like, he's actually not bad, right? He was, I don't know if he was Mr. Hockey Minnesota, but definitely good Minnesota pedigree. And I think, maybe a little home cooking there for Bill Guerin in this selection, being, that he is there in Minneapolis all the time. I just, to pass up the Calder Trophy winner, because he's too small. That's the only thing. Like, Lacombe has size and he's a steady presence, can contribute a little bit offensively. The upside offensively that Lane Hudson can inject into the lineup, especially in a short tournament where you are going to rely on power plays to win or lose, and you're building a big hulking team because, that's the game you played when you were in the NHL 20 years ago. I don't like this. I don't have a good feeling for the
I just don't get it. Here's something I pulled from the Hockey News, so I want to give them credit. This is a quote. Since being left off the U.S. roster, which was officially announced on January 2nd, only 3 other Americans, Jack Eichel, Tage Thompson, and Quinn Hughes, have produced more than Hudson, who has 12 points in his last 10 games. Lacombe has 8 points in his last 9 games, while averaging around less than 3 minutes in ice time. So, obviously, yes, you mentioned the size. That's the big thing. But the fact that Lane Hudson is consistently putting up this amount of points as a defenseman, and hey, he's playing on a pretty good Montreal team, and he's one of their point leaders, but also their ice time leaders, goes to show that he's probably doing a lot more than just scoring goals and assists. Like,
Correct.
The guy is doing everything right. And then one last point that I wanted to make. Hudson's a right shot defenseman. On defense now, the U.S. has 5 lefties and 2 righties.
No,
so
Hudson is a lefty.
Oh, is he a lefty?
He is a left shot defenseman.
Well,
but
then
he
I take that
operates
back.
right. He operates like you would expect a right-handed defenseman to.
There you go.
But
That's what I meant. 100%. Lacombe's a lefty too, right?
right,
Yeah.
they're both lefties, right?
Lacombe is
So-
also a lefty, so that obviously was not a factor.
right. And if who's the next righty defenseman in line, since it was Seth Jones that went down?
Ryan Suter.
No, he was a left-handed shot too. Man, you
know.
you need to go back to left-right school.
Vladimir Chepeturkin.
Yes, that's always the correct answer. It's like 42
I gotta see what
in
he
our
was.
universe. He was a lefty.
He probably was, actually. I think he was.
He was. I guarantee it.
Yep, he was.
Yeah.
Why can I not name a lefty defenseman or a righty defenseman?
Lyle Odeline.
There you go. There it is. Josh Manson's dad, Dave Manson.
No, he was also a lefty.
Are you kidding me? No, you're making that up.
No. Josh Manson's a righty. Dave Manson was a lefty.
Damn it. Why can I not name a right-handed defenseman?
This is going to be a new segment. Jeff tries to name a right-handed defenseman.
Can Jeff name a righty defenseman? Ian Moran.
I'll go with that.
Yes, he was a righty. Yes. All right. And he's from Cleveland. He could play. No, anyway, I just don't get it. I don't understand why there's seems to be a vendetta against Lane Hudson on this team, and it makes no sense. And again, I think Jackson Lacombe's an excellent pick, but Hudson, 9 goals, 43 assists, 52 points in 50 games this season. And again, in his career, 15 goals, 105 assists, 120 points in 134 games. I think you're right, Bill. They are building for size. They are building for toughness. And I just think that is not the way to go. It's, we're going to get manhandled by Canada. We can't go up against them skill for skill. I think that's complete garbage. I don't think that's the case at all. I think this team can go against Canada. This iteration of Team USA, I do think can go against them skill for skill, but they make dumb decisions like, I don't know, scratching Kyle Connor in the gold medal game of the Four Nations face-off, not selecting Jason Robertson, who's one of the best pure goal scorers in the NHL. But we're gonna make sure we get guys out there that can, that have size. Again, Jackson Lacombe, excellent defenseman. I just don't think he's being selected for the right reasons.
Yeah, no, I hate to say it, but I think Bill Guerin got an erection during that brawl in the first Team USA, Team Canada game at the Four Nations last year, and he's just loading up on size because of that. It hasn't gone away. He should have called his doctor after 4 hours, but he didn't. So
no, he did not. Call your doctor after 4 fights. That's what it is.
Yeah.
There's only 3, so it didn't happen.
Right. It's the Four Nations and the Olympics are different animals. No fighting in the Olympics. It's not going to happen. You're not going to manhandle Canada. And even if you do, then Finland or Sweden's going to come along and pull the rug out from under you.
Check the Czechs. Let's not forget about them either. I mean, the Russians, the Olympic athletes from Russia, whatever they call them. This is still going
this year.
They may not. I don't even know for sure, to be honest. But either way, and that's the thing too, is all or nothing against Canada is how we're building this team. And it's dude, you might not make it to Canada. The rest of the countries are going to be coming for you. So, yeah, it's annoying. Anyway, let's talk about the Blues. Oskar Sundqvist was cut by Connor McDavid in the loss to the Oilers. The way I worded that is weird. Like Connor McDavid just went up and shanked him. Get out of here.
Or Connor McDavid, took on the interim GM role of the Blues. Is sorry, bud, you're out.
Yep. But luckily he is considered day-to-day. Sundqvist sustained a skate cut just above his ankle in the third period of Sunday's matchup with the Oilers. He got tangled up with McDavid along the boards. Montgomery after the game said, quote, luckily it did not touch his Achilles, which is what I think we all thought. So it's just going to be now how long he's out. It's day to day. We know the cut was deep. I don't know how long that takes until he's back and has the flexibility in his ankle without hurting the cut. Bill, I want to ask you. So I had a situation with some skates years and years and years ago. I used to think it was a good idea to wear the short skate socks. I have since switched and have never looked back. And for those who don't know, when I say skate socks, I mean the ones that you actually wear in your skates, not the ones over your shin guards. I used to wear the ones that like went around the ankles, just because it was comfortable. Well, I had some skates that started digging into the back of my ankle, and I got a horrible cut back there. And the coach was like, "Hey, you should switch to the long skate socks." So I did. But because that cut was there, we were still skating, 3-4 times a week. And this was in high school, and it hurt. And it got to a point where I couldn't push off. And it was just like, so, you hear like, oh, he's got a cut on his foot and he can't play. It's like, oh, it's the baseball player, but it's like, think about trying to push off on a cut. You've got to let that thing fully heal before you can start skating on it again. Because as someone talking from experience, holy cow, that is a pain unlike any other.
Yeah, if you've ever had any kind of deep cut to the back of your leg, even as a non-hockey player, it takes forever to heal and can get easily infected. I know Ken Morris said in the chat he used to skate barefoot. That was all the rage when we were peewees and bantams. Like, people would, just not wear socks whatsoever. One of my first purchases when I was getting back in to the game last year was cut resistant socks. That spoke to me. Like, I got the War Road, top and the Bauer cut resistant socks. Lost my shit when I thought I lost one of them, because that's extra protection. That's scary. I think I told a story on the show before, but when I was a young lad, I remember watching back before checking was banned in men's league in St. Louis. I probably was 8 or 9 years old. After one of our games, I went out and watched the men's league game because my coach played on the team, and I watched a guy's Achilles get cut out of the back of his leg because somebody jumped into him on a check in the boards and came down. And he was one of those guys that didn't wear socks. So that is not something to fuck around with. And I feel bad, for Sonny. The guy seems like he's collecting every possible lower body injury that you could get in his career. But, I also am not a huge fan of his contributions overall to the team. He's had some good stretches this year, but his availability and getting run out there on the power play every night, just not a good look for this team. I'm again, I'm not the hugest Sundqvist fan. For his contribution to the team, nobody can ever question that guy's dedication to the game. When he's out there, he's going to give you 100%. Unfortunately, I think his body is breaking down, and 100% from him is like 70% from a Robbie Fabry or somebody else who's younger and more durable. I hope for a speedy recovery. I hope we get to see him again. I'm sure we'll see him after the break. I would be shocked if we see him before. But I'm looking forward to seeing some more, Jonathan Berggren, Otto Stenberg on the power play, and not Sonny.
Yeah, I'll admit. I'm still a pretty big Sundqvist fan. I do like his game, and I love him on the fourth line. I think he plays fantastic. But I think that's where it ends for me. And it kind of goes back to the Eric Brewer days, back when, it was so easy to hate Eric Brewer. But at the end of the day, if you would have asked me to be honest about Eric Brewer, which I was on this show, I never really hated Brewer. It's because he was getting misused. He was being used as a number one defenseman when at best, especially at that point in his career, at best, he's a number 3, probably more a number 4. And It's the same here with Sundqvist. Like, I see him get put out there on the power play, and I get it when you're injured and you've got, you just got to try something new when you've got, 5 of your top 6 forwards out. Okay, that's fine. But I mean, we were seeing it in the playoffs last season against Winnipeg. He was getting power play time. And it's just, no, he's not that player. And I get you're wanting to get a big body in front of the net, but honestly, as dumb as this may sound, give me Colton Parayko in front of the net instead of Oskar Sundqvist. He's at least got the hand eye and the wherewithal to maybe make a nice move in tight. I don't think Sundqvist has that. So for me, I like Sundqvist, but man, keep him on the fourth line. Stop trotting him out there for everything else.
Right. Sonny pitches in some key goals in the playoffs, but they aren't around the front of the net. They're always on 2-on-1 breaks, a snipe on an unsuspecting goalie. Right. That has been his bread and butter. And give me that all the time. But don't expect him to be Thomas Holmstrom just because he's a big, ugly Swede. Stand him in front of the net and let him get beat up. Who cares if you hit him in the face with the puck? He'll be there, right? You got to take the eyes away from the goalie, and I think right now the guy you want doing that on this team is Jake Neighbors, and then you have a different look on the second power play.
Yep, I would actually be fine if the Blues went out and got, someone kind of like a Jake Neighbors, but maybe it doesn't put up as many goals, but like a net front guy, like a Kiefer Sherwood would have been great, but a guy like that to kind of be on your second unit, and they just don't have that. And unfortunately, they keep shoehorning Sundqvist in there, and I don't understand it. I mean, every now and then, sure, he'll pot one in, and it's like, Montgomery looks like a genius, but it's like, well, the other 30 power plays he was on before they scored with him on the ice, not looking too good.
Yeah. I don't know if it was last night or the Edmonton game, but the last 20 seconds of the power play was the fourth line after Sundqvist was out of the game. So I think it was the Edmonton game, but you had, I guess it was Bukestad, Toropchenko, and Walker out there. And it's like, we're not even going to pretend we could do power play anymore.
Yep. We just can't power play. Well, speaking of recent games, let's talk a little bit about last night's game. The Blues lost this one to the Jets 3-1. They've now lost 7 in a row on the road and have posted just 1 win in their last 9 road games. A stat that was actually brought up by the broadcast crew that I thought was interesting and I wanted to bring up was the Blues have now battled 3 teams in their past 4 games who are on the second leg of a back-to-back. So first game was the Hurricanes. They won that one 3-0. That was at home. The Lightning game was not a back-to-back for the Lightning, but the Oilers game was, and the Blues lost that one 5-0. And then last night's game, the Jets played in Chicago the night before, but the Blues lost that one 3-1. So their last 2 games have come against teams that are on the second night of a back-to-back, and they have lost both those games 8-1 with a combined score. And then Friday night's game, which is the next Blues game, Dallas will be on the second night of a back-to-back, and that'll be in Dallas. So we will see how the Blues respond with this, because I'm not saying these should be easy wins, but to lose 5-0 to Edmonton and then 3-1 to a Jets team who has had a very bad season, that is telling of this roster right now.
Yeah. So the other important point that I would make here is that all of those teams traveled and the Blues were in town waiting, right?
Yep,
that was
true.
The other point that the broadcast crew brought up last night. And that's telling. I will say last night's game, I thought the Blues were in it for most of the game. Comrie had a stellar game. Hofer was good. The Jets took advantage. It really came down to that double minor against Walker. And then the Blues, you thought they were going to match that when the double minor got called against Winnipeg. And we got the goal on the first power play and then couldn't get anything on the second. I thought it was a very close game. And of course, the can't figure out how to, the right time to pull the goalie, and we get scored on by an easy chip out. Got tired of that storyline. But yeah, so I think the bottom line to this whole back-to-back thing is the Blues are going to beat the Kings Saturday night 9-0.
Yeah, right. Yeah. They're going to lose Friday handedly,
Right.
and then they'll barnstorm the Kings and just put a 9 spot on them.
Right. It's the logical conclusion to this perfectly
It's
illogical
madness.
scenario.
Yep. You mentioned the empty net goal. Let's talk about it because I'm still pretty fired up about it. So for those that have been listening to the show for a while, I have gone on plenty of rants about the Blues pulling the goalie. And not so much. There's a lot of fans who get mad about the empty net goals, and I'll say yes, it's frustrating because especially like last night, the Blues were pressuring and they pull the goalie instantly. The puck goes in their net. But for me, it's more than just, oh, you pulled the goalie. Why'd you pull the goalie? And I know, Bill, there's a lot of things that you like to say as a goalie when that happens. But for me, it's more when you pull the goalie. Like, yes, you've got an empty net. The other team has a chance to score. It sucks when it happens, but it does. For me, I don't think Montgomery is pulling the goalie at the right time. I will say he is 1,000% better than Craig Berube ever was. For those that might not remember, the Blues, so the other team would shoot it in. The Blues would get the puck behind their net, and then they'd pull the goalie. And it was just, no, wait until you're at least away from your goal. I mean, there were times they'd be breaking out from their own zone and they'd lose the puck and the other team would score. So what Montgomery does is way better than that. However, Montgomery's big pull time comes when they dump it in from the red line. With some teams, oh yeah, you can do that 100%. The Colorado Avalanche would probably be fantastic at a situation where they pull the goalie and then as they're dumping it in, because they have quick guys. They can get out there, forecheck, keep the puck in the zone, get back possession, and then work it around. The Blues don't have that. That is not the St. Louis Blues. They need to get possession in the zone before they can pull their goalie. If you watch that goal last night, and Bill, I know you did, they shoot it in, almost no forecheck, nothing from the Blues to try and get the puck off Winnipeg. Now, Winnipeg is a quick transition team, so I don't want to, put that aside. But they almost exited without any delay, any issue at all. They took the puck from behind the net, they worked it around, they got it to Scheifele, and then he dumped it into the empty net from the neutral zone. Why are we pulling the goalie when we don't have possession? And I know with Berube, that's what I always said. But again, it's more with this roster makeup. You cannot pull the goalie when you don't have possession in the zone. The Blues are not great at causing turnovers in the offensive zone. The 2019 Blues sure were, but this is not the 2019 Blues. So for them to pull the goalie before they have possession in the zone, you're just asking for an empty net goal.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
100%. 100%. This team is terrible at turnovers at the blue line, in the defensive zone, in the offensive zone, right? And to your point, the 2019 team, Jaden Schwartz was great at getting on the boards and making sure stuff didn't get chipped out. Several guys on that team were great, but he stood out to me. I don't think I'm going to get a better line in than what I put in our outline here. So that this is going to be my take. Only assholes ever pull goalies. The worst assholes of that bunch can never figure out the timing. That's where I'm going to leave it.
Do you actually believe that? Do you actually think we should never pull the goalie?
No. I mean, from an overall hockey strategy standpoint, no, that's dumb.
Because there are people who think that. I have actually heard people say, you should never pull the goalie. It works against you more than it works for you, which is true. But to me, it's like it's the last ditch effort. It's like you got to do something because what we've done to this point has not worked.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, there that is definitely not the right answer, right? You pull the goalie, it will pay off, but you have to play in a way that makes it pay off. And the Blues haven't been able to figure that out. So I would much rather wait until we have solid, not just dump it in and maybe get a stick on it, but actually regain possession before you're pulling the goalie, because other teams know the Blues are fragile and all they have to do is get it chipped along the sideboards, and they're more than 50% of the time going to get it past that first defenseman, and they can have a guy cheat and get up there and get an easy empty net goal.
Well, I think the other important factor too that we haven't even mentioned is the time left in the game. There was 2.5 minutes left when they pulled the goalie here. This was not a we have to pull him right now situation. If there was 50 ticks left on the clock, I get it.
Right.
I get Montgomery saying shoot it in and let's get him out of here. But 2.5 minutes left? No, get some possession. Plus, you're facing a backup goalie on a tired team. Why are you having to pull him at 2:30?
Right. To me, this is where I think the common knowledge logic. I'm not a good turn of phrase by me, but the prevailing wisdom, I think that's the right term here in the NHL right now, is get them out sooner rather than later. But that is not the case with this team. Get them out when you have established possession and can have a trailing player come in. Because I think what happens is we get them out before we get the dump in, and you're expecting that extra player to be the guy to cut off the boards, and they're not getting there yet. So get it to where your team can establish possession before you're pulling them out. And then once they do it, then do it, pull the goalie. If they can't, you're not going to give up an easy empty net goal and be down by 2.
Yeah.
Like you said, under a minute, yeah, get them out as soon as you can. But when we're talking, we're closer to the 3-minute, 4-minute, 5-minute mark. Yeah, you have time, unless you're down by 2 and you're just saying, fuck it, we're going for it.
Well, and again, and that's a whole other situation. I totally get that. But yeah, for me, it's like, and let me ask you this. So, and then we can close on this topic because I know we got a lot of other things we want to talk about. Do you think analytics this is another situation where analytics are hurting the sport? Because you think about it, and like you said, that exact phrase, I've heard announcers say that 1,000,000 times over, that the stats show that you are better off getting them out of the net earlier, like sooner rather than later. Like you want to pull them as quick as you can. And because, back in our day when we grew up playing, when we were teenagers, it was a minute left, then you pull the goalie. Now we're seeing teams pull goalies. I mean, shoot, we've seen them pull the goalie with 6-7 minutes left when they're down by 2 because they're just like, let's take the chance. Let's do it. You didn't see that a lot back in the day. And so I feel like now, because the analytics show, hey, if you can get possession in the zone with 2 minutes left and you've already got your goalie pulled, that's a 6-on-5. And, obviously your chances are greater at getting a goal. So for me, is this a situation where the analytics are kind of telling coaches, hey, your best opportunity now is to pull the goalie with 2.5 minutes left? But it's like, well, yeah, but the game, like there's more that should be going into that decision than pull him sooner rather than later. Maybe I'm not wording it right, that analytics are the fault here. Maybe it's the interpretation of the analytics.
I think it's the interpretation and the adaptation by coaches, right?
Yes.
I think the early adopters are going to get it paid off because there's a built-in time bias. The earlier you pull them and you're successful more often than not, I think that makes the stat look a whole lot better. But as everybody else comes to start adopting it, teams are going to figure that out and be ready for it. I think that's
Mhm.
there was always kind of an element of surprise. That is now like that the margin you got from that is gone, and now you have teams prepared for it better, and teams like the Blues that just aren't a good board battle team are always going to get chipped. And I think you have to play to the strength of your team and not just, hey, we're going to roll the dice because the analytics that somebody did 4 or 5 years ago. I was on my way to our game the other night. I was listening to In Goal Radio, friend of the show, Kevin Woodley,
Mhm.
great participant of that. And they were talking about, the analytics models need to be rewritten. This a specific goalie scenario, but I think this is the case, right? The teams that have I think Carolina is probably the cutting edge. That they hired an analytics guy as their GM. They're probably on the cutting edge of this. But the teams that figure out, to always be ahead of the curve where everybody else is late adapters are always going to find an edge. It's not 100% going to work out in their favor, but you have to be an early adopter. And if you're just trying to, go by what becomes the prevailing wisdom 5 years later, you're behind the curve. And I think that's the Blues, right? The Blues don't invest in that. And they also don't focus on the team that they have on the ice.
Yep. Sorry to offend our friend Winning Unlimited. He says, no, analytics are amazing. No, we're not questioning that, sir. I think you know what we're saying, though, and I know you're probably laughing as you type that. He says, I have analytics on fights. I would love to see those. That's fantastic.
I am
and if anyone
100%
does,
not
of
shocked
course,
by
it's our
that.
friend. Yeah, I was going to say, of course, anyone who does, it's our friend Adam Gold. So, yeah, that's fantastic. Last note I have in this game, Jordan Kyrou scored his 9th of the season, a one-timer from Falk. So we'll get to the shootout goal here in a very quick second. But scores in the shootout against Tampa, scores against Winnipeg, one-timer in the slot for actually on the face-off circle. On the power play, his first goal since December 1st, which is 14 games for him. And he had just 5 assists in that stretch. We asked last week, what is going on with Jordan Kyrou? Maybe we're starting to see him heat up a little bit.
Yeah. I think he, he bottomed out analytics wise, right? The game, he was fighting the game too much. And now it's just like, maybe he's not gripping the stick as tight, and we're starting to see things break in his favor. So to bridge the gap between these two games, you mentioned the power play goal. They talked about how that was not in his wheelhouse and he had to make an adjustment, and he did, and it was a great shot. Right, that was I won't say that's vintage Kyrou, but that's what you need from a goal scorer who's not got to be locked in to his positioning to score the goal.
Yep.
Loved that. Bridge to the next game that we'll talk a little bit about, not too much, but the Lightning game, not the shootout goal, because that was the thing of beauty. I recorded the shootout because I was in attendance. A great game.
Nice.
The setup for the accidental assist to Jake Neighbors, right? Totally going for the shot, and Paul got his stick on the set up entirely by Jordan Kyrou skating hard and getting the good ice in the center, the center of the slot. I think things seem to be trending in the right direction for him. Finally, and we harped on him last week. We've bitched about him a lot this week. Let's hope this is the turning of the corner for him. And by the time Robert Thomas gets back in this lineup, maybe we can see, kind of the lineup that we had last year, but a little bit better. Holloway, Kyrou, Shen, love to see them reunited, and then get Snuggerud back on Thomas's wing.
I agree. He needs a guy who can actually shoot. He doesn't have that right now. So that'd be nice when Thomas gets back to see that. So you mentioned it. The next game, Blues and Lightning. not the next game. This was last
Previous
Friday.
game. Yep.
Previous two previous games.
Yeah, because we don't want to talk about the Oilers game.
No.
'cause
Hofer, I thought, played very well in this game. 34 saves. First win in the shootout or overtime, and it only took until January 16th of the season. They are now 1-8 in the OT or a shootout, and of course, Kyrou was the one that had the shootout lone goal. The Blues ended the Lightning's 11-game winning streak because we all saw that coming.
Right. The Blues are the last NHL team with the 12-game winning streak. They didn't want to lose that. And God, you could see the absolute frustration on Nikita Kucherov at the end of this game.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
How the fuck did we lose to this team?
Yep. I don't blame him. I would have been saying the same thing.
Yeah. And I didn't get it 100%, but he got booed every time he touched the puck, and I kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's always fun when that happens. Real quick, we mentioned the Sunday game, the Edmonton Oilers 5-0 loss. Connor Ingram, 27 saves on 27 shots. Jordan Binnington, 23 saves on 28 shots. But you had a note here on Jordan Binnington.
Yeah. He obviously wasn't the cause of our loss because we didn't score a fucking goal. But he's just, I thought he seemed to be turning the corner going back to the Montreal game. He looked incredible. And then the wheels fell off in Chicago. Right now, he needs to ride the pine as much as possible. I thought it was a bit of a gamble going back to him. Hofer has been playing so well. I thought it was a gamble to put Binnington in against McDavid, going into the Olympics right now. What does Connor McDavid think that, his team was easily able to put up 5 on Binnington in this game? Is he going to have confidence in him in net if he does get the starter role? But I think unless the comment that I have here is unless Binnington goes on a tear after the Olympics, Canada wins the gold. He's key in it. He gets that Four Nations type bump that he got last year, fuels a run. I want to see Hofer getting the majority of the games down the stretch. I think we need to be prepared for Hofer as our 1A of the future. I just at Binnington, I think the second not a soft goal, but a goal that maybe is a result of poor defensive play. I think he gets off focus and too many get past him too quickly.
For me, that was Hofer early in the season. Now it seems to be Binnington.
Yeah. Yep. Complete role reversal. And I honestly, I love watching Joel Hofer play right now. Like I talked about, the last show or the show before when we talked about the Montreal game, getting to see Binnington in that game, 10 rows behind him and watching him play, it was vintage. And I was like, yeah, I think he's figured it out. But then that next start, like I said, in Chicago, and just everything got past him. And thank you for sending me that gift, by the way, of Hofer peering around the corner of the locker room.
Yes, that's one of my favorite gifts now. That's so good.
Yeah.
No, we'll see. I do think Binnington can find his game again here as a Blue, not only is just a member of Team Canada, but right now, if you're really serious about getting wins, you got to ride the goalie that's getting you wins, and that's Joel Hofer. So, and not only getting you wins, just playing well. He's playing very well, and I agree. I think, unfortunately, again, Jordan Binnington, currently my favorite player still to this day, probably will be until the day he retires, to be quite honest. But this might be his last season as a St. Louis Blue. I could see it. I could see the Blues trading him for assets and then trying to find a solid backup for Hofer and letting Hofer kind of be the guy going into next season. So we will see. But it does not seem like it's the same Jordan Binnington this season.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate. I have multiple Binnington jerseys, and I absolutely love the story that he has written here in St. Louis, but right now, as far as a career great goalie, we can't say that. For the Blues, yes, record holder, right? But is he a Hall of Famer? No.
Nope.
That story is not getting written.
Well, the story that was written, thank you for that. Excellent segue there, Bill. The Robert Thomas, we had a long discussion about it earlier. We're only going to touch on this very quickly. But if you have not read the piece that a friend of the show, Jeremy Rutherford, co-wrote over at The Athletic, I do recommend it. It's called "What Would a Robert Thomas Trade Look Like for the Blues? Comps Return, and Would It Be Worth It?" So he had some nice pieces in there, just talking about Kyrou's value, what he brings to the Blues, what he could bring to another team. They looked at past trades, so it's trades involving a true number one center. They had to go back in the memory banks to find some of those names, but Jack Eichel, Bo Horvat, Tomas Hertl were names that came up. And then they also looked at top 6 centers, as well as top 6 centers on the trade board currently. So just a nice piece. So if you haven't checked it out, I recommend it. But we did have a long discussion earlier about Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou. Could they be moved? Would they be moved? And would it be worth it? And, nice piece there by Jeremy Rutherford. Anything you want to add on the Thomas trade front there, Mr. Bill Day?
Yeah, so I think the answer was in Rutherford's lead up to the actual, what would the trade look like? The answer is he is an elite passer that doesn't have a scorer. And my comment earlier, I want to see Snuggerud there. Yep. Force them to play together. The one thing, if I'm Steen at this point, as GM, if I'm not getting, other things tried, like the Montgomery abandoning that after 2 shifts in a game, if I'm Steen and I'm coming in next year, you have to make this work, right? I want you 6 games, unless there's a penalty kill involved, there's no reason for those 2 guys not to be on the ice developing chemistry, right?
Yep.
That's got to be the message right now, right? Kyrou, he's had way too many opportunities. I think he works better. Like that line last year, his speed, getting him and Holloway, getting the speed in on the forecheck and generating offense that way, that worked. Get back to that. Right. I don't think it's a fact that other teams figured that out. I think they just need to get that chemistry going again. But
yeah,
Montgomery doesn't stick with lines long enough to let it happen. Right. At this point, do you think this team really is a playoff team? No. Force the coach to stick with some combinations. Stop pressing the fucking Ken Hitchcock line juggler button every time you get pissed off about how a shift went, right?
Yep.
Hold the coach accountable to that. Play. You have Snuggerud is so fucking close. He is such an elite shooter, and he just right now he is winding up having to force shots because he's not getting set up. He's having to create for himself. Let him figure out how to play with an elite passer, and he's a 50-goal scorer. That is what I want from this team for the rest of the year. I don't think you should entertain a Robert Thomas trade unless you're bringing back 2 first-round picks and a top 10 pick as a roster player already.
I would even say I don't want to entertain a Kyrou trade at this point because his value is so low.
Right? Yeah.
You at least got to get him to a point where he's scoring, 20 goals, 25, 30 goals in a season. And he's not at that point right now. So I would say right now you hold on to both those guys unless you can get a ridiculous trade like we were talking about earlier, where maybe you move into the number 1 or number 2 pick in the draft this year. But if that's not open, I don't even think I'm entertaining trades. So yeah, that's
The other thing I thought about Thomas, it wasn't in the article, but this is my thought, is that he has got to be exhausted from being the only reliable player for most of the last 2 seasons, right? The mental exhaustion, and maybe that's the thing, right? Maybe we are the way the team is using him is burning him out and getting him to the point that he's going to be one of those needs a change of scenery guys, right? I think they need to take a step back in this injury. It's a great opportunity to do it, to re-examine his utilization, right? Make him happy, give him what he wants, and don't make him feel like the pressure to succeed is entirely on his shoulders, because that's what it seems like. He has a close opportunity, misses a shot just wide. Like, the negative energy he brings back to the bench, I think, can be infectious in the wrong way. And you got to let him know that is, it's okay, bud, right? Your success isn't going to mean this team's a playoff team, right? There are a lot of problems we got to work out. You play your game.
Well, and I'll say that was, so I've said this now, I think, for a little while, and it's kind of been in the back of my mind, and it's coming more to the forefront. I want to see, and I know we got Pew Suter, who's, been great, but I think you need a good yin to Thomas's yin. Like, you need to, the fact, and I said this earlier, the fact that he is your offensive guy, number one, and your defensive guy, number one. You got to have somebody else that can step in and be one or the other. And you tell Robert Thomas, hey, we might use you on PK2, but you're not going to be the guy that's over the boards every time on a PK. When we're up by 2 goals late in the game, you're not going to be the guy that plays 2 of the last 3 minutes. Like, they need to define his role, I think, a little better. Connor McDavid, sure, he plays a ridiculous amount of time, but if you pay attention, he's not the number one guy they send out on PKs all the time, and it's like, and again, I'm not trying to compare the two. It's just, there's always somebody who kind of balances that ice time for a number one center. And I just don't feel like the Blues, and maybe they do have that in Pew Suter or Braden Shen, but it doesn't feel that way. It feels like it is Robert Thomas in every single situation. And I just think, and maybe he even says, hey, I'd like to be more of the defensive guy and number 2 center. Great. Okay. Well, then we'll focus on getting a little bit more of an offensive player for you, or a center for you. But either way, you got to pick one. I just don't think shelling him out there for every single game situation is the way to go.
Right. No, he is, the problem is the Blues don't have superstar players, right? And he is by far the best player on this team, and he excels at everything. But as a coach, to your point, you have to be smart about where you use him, and, telling him, we may run you out there for an important D zone face-off on a PK, but you're coming off right away, right? You're not going to run the entire the PK, because we need you fresh and ready to go at even strength and power play. You are our offensive driver. And I think
I agree. And again, I'm fine if it's like, hey, there's going to be 30 seconds left on this PK. The Blues just cleared it. Robert, get out there, but like, when it's like, you're going out there, you're going to be stuck out there for a minute 20 on the PK ends, and then we got a power play and we're sticking out there for the first minute. It's like, no, I don't want that in our number one center. I want him to be able to focus on the offensive side of the game. And again, or the defensive side, whatever he's more comfortable with. And just, but making him play every situation, it's just not working at all. And that's a great point here. Rounds out the conversation. D Brown SS in the chat says an Ivar Stenberg could relieve that pressure on Thomas. 100%. Maybe that's the goal right there.
Yeah. Total Stenberg PK, right?
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah, they got to have like brothers or cousins, right? Get them in there as defensemen. Why not? Let's see a whole Stenberg PK. Next up for the Blues, Friday, they play the Dallas Stars at 7 o'clock. That is in Dallas. Saturday, they play at home against the Los Angeles Kings. That opens up a 4-game homestand for the Blues. They play at 7. Tuesday, January 27th, they play against Dallas. And then on Thursday and Saturday, they play Florida and Columbus. That will end the 4-game homestand, and that is the last 4 home games before the Olympic break. So if you want to get in to see a Blues game, basically you got to go this month. Once February hits, they have 2 away games, and then you've got yourself the Olympic break. So we are edging ever closer to that.
Yep. The first home game in February, I believe, is the 26th, day after my 50th birthday, against the Seattle Kraken.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
What are we doing for your 50th, Bill? We got to do something.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll definitely. I'm gonna have a few things going on this year, but
maybe a global brew night or something would be fun.
Yeah. I think probably looking for, with it being winter and not looking to travel too far. Maybe just try to get a nice guys' night, poker night kind of thing going on. So
that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, all right. Well, I think that'll do it for the show. Bill, anything to add before we close her up?
No. Just be interested to see, what the turnout is Saturday night. If the snowstorm goes the way that they're predicting, sounds way worse than it did a couple days ago. So
yeah, I feel like today it really was like, hey, by the way, you may not be able to leave your house for a couple days.
Yeah,
it was not feeling that way last week.
Yeah, it's God, if it gets, it's a southern storm with a lot of moisture in it, and if it pushes this far north, it's going to be that heavy shit. And, I don't mind the light stuff because I got a snowblower and it gets it off the driveway easily. But, man, pushing 50, I'm not looking to move that heavy shit. I might just take the bullet and sit here in my house for a few days.
Yeah, you're at the age now where you can justify hiring someone to do it, I think, right?
Yeah. Call somebody that's got a blade on their truck. Come clear my driveway, man.
There you go. That's what you got to do. If you have a blade on your truck and you live in the what are you technically?
Glen Carbon.
Yeah, if you live in the Glen Carbon area, give Bill Day a call. He will hire you. Ken Morris, I hate snow. Ken, you live in the wrong part of the world to say that. Yeah. All right. Well, that will do it. Thanks to our incredible sponsor, strikewithmike.com. This was episode 17 of season 15 of the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thanks for listening, and thanks to those who participated in the YouTube and Facebook live chats during the live show. Make sure to follow us on socials at LGB Radio and follow, and subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. For Kurt Price and Bill Day, I'm Jeff Ponder, and this was Let's Go Blues Radio. Until next time, everyone, let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues or something.
Yeah, whatever.
TV talking St. Louis Blues hockey, moving fast, can't catch the beat. Skates on fire, ice on defeat.